Who exactly were the Lumen sages? This has been a question that I've seen pop up in my comments a lot lately, and since the recent events of Chapter 237, it's about time we took a look at these angelic overseers. So, let's get started. The Lumen sages were a European clan of people who devoted their lives to maintaining the balance between light and dark forces in the world. They acted as the counterpart to the Umbra witches, the other half of the group responsible for overseeing the flow of time itself. For that role, they were given the title of the Overseers of History. And along with the witches, they were praised as paragons of justice and balance, though these titles would later be taken away from the witches after their fall from grace. These roles as overseers came with a heavy burden, however, as they were tasked with ensuring that the balance between light and darkness would remain equal. Otherwise, the world could be thrown into chaos. It was for this reason that the Lumen sages and the Umbra witches were granted the eyes of the world by Aesir, so that they might have the power to observe both the light and dark forces of the world through their respective lenses. However, it wasn't always easy to keep peace between humans and demons, especially during the clan wars when the Lumen sages and the Umbra witches were still at each other's throats. The war had drained much of the magic from the world, leaving the two groups to search for new sources of power to continue the conflict. This is when they turned to the eyes that Aesir had gifted them and absorbed their power, becoming the Lumen sages and Umbra witches that we know today. And unlike their witch counterparts, who gained power from the dark side of humanity and the depths of hell, the sages drew their strength from the beauty of the world and the divine realm of Paradiso. To gain the power of the Laguna, the Lumen sages chose to partner with the angels of Laguna, summoning them to aid them in their battles against the demon hordes. In exchange, they offered the angels the blood of their enemies to quench their divine thirsts, and the angels would also feast on the nightmares of humanity, preventing them from growing any darker than they already were. Although we've yet to see the exact nature of the Lumen sages' powers, what we have seen suggests that they likely didn't have physical prowess like the witches. Instead, they seem to have been more supportive in battle, with their powers probably revolving around empowering their allies and hindering their foes, keeping them in check. This is supported by the fact that they chose to use angels instead of demons, as angels don't rely on human emotions for strength, meaning they wouldn't grow weaker if they weren't near their mages. Sadly, the clan wars would eventually reach its tragic conclusion with the annihilation of the Lumen sages. According to Agnes, only one sage survived the wars, though it isn't explicitly stated how he managed to escape death. It's possible that he hid away from both the witches and demons, refusing to take sides and simply watching from afar as the world burned around him. After all, the Lumen sages seemed to hold peace above all else. Whatever the reason, he remained hidden until the present day, where he went by the name Baldrial, taking on the mantle of Balder the Beautiful, leader of the Lumen. He was eventually found by a young girl named Catherine, who was raised by her uncle, Father Agnes. When he saw Catherine's pure heart, he decided to take her under his wing, training her to become the next Lumen sage and passing on what little remained of their bloodline. He would even go on to help her defeat the Infernal, freeing many humans from their control and ending the endless night that had fallen over the world. But even after accomplishing such a feat, he was still hunted by the witches. And while he easily could have escaped their clutches, he chose to sacrifice himself so that Catherine could live and fulfill her destiny as the successor of the Lumen. In doing so, he passed on his power to her, giving her the ability to summon the angel Balder to fight by her side and bestow upon her the memories of the Lumen sages, including the history of their clan and the knowledge of how to use their magic. With this newfound power, she and Balder were able to defeat the invading Umbran forces, ending their threat once and for all. The Lumen sages were a very peaceful group of people, preferring to try and talk down their enemies rather than fight them unless absolutely necessary. And this was likely due to the nature of their partners. As we've seen, angels are incapable of lying and inherently good. meaning that the Lumen sages likely took on the same traits as the heavenly beings they commanded. They also seemed to show great respect towards the Umbra witches, despite being sworn enemies. They knew that without the witches, they wouldn't be able to carry out their duties as overseers and bring balance to the world. This is why they paid tribute to their counterparts, calling them the lords of the dark side and expressing sorrow at their fall from grace. It's also worth noting that they believed the witches were misguided, but ultimately still good. As the Lumen sages saw it, the witches were merely trying to protect humanity from the horrors of hell, albeit through more extreme methods. It was only when the witches abandoned those beliefs and embraced their evil that the Lumen sages truly became their enemy. As already mentioned, the Lumen sages wore distinctive clothing when performing their rituals. They dressed in white robes with gold accents, possibly symbolizing the sun, a common motif for the lumen as the color white represents purity, enlightenment, and light, while gold symbolizes wealth, divinity, and justice. Their headgear is also notable as it resembles that of Catholic clergy, specifically the mitre worn by bishops and archbishops. This detail adds to the sages' association with light and purity, as the Catholic Church has historically been associated with the pursuit of righteousness and the teachings of Jesus Christ, a figure often seen as a symbol of light dispelling darkness. It's important to remember that not all members of the Lumen sages wore this specific attire, as we've seen some Lumen mages dress in more casual clothing when not performing rituals. However, the majority of the sages shown in the story so far have worn this distinctive garb. One of the most recognizable aspects of the Lumen sages is their use of watches. These timepieces serve as a symbol of their connection to the Laguna and their ability to manipulate time. The shape of their watches is also noteworthy, as they resemble a sun with arms, a detail that reinforces the sages' association with light and the sun. While the Lumen sages were mostly peaceful and diplomatic, they were still capable of great power when pushed to their limits. We've seen them perform powerful spells that could even rival those of the Umbra witches. For example, they were able to summon angels to fight for them, which is a feat that the witches were unable to replicate. Additionally, they had the ability to manipulate time itself, allowing them to stop time or even reverse it to undo mistakes. The Lumen sages were deeply connected to the concept of light, both in terms of their own magical abilities and in their worldview. They believed that light was a force of purity, enlightenment, and justice, and they sought to use it to bring balance to the world. Their connection to light also manifested in their choice of attire and symbols, such as their white robes and their sun-shaped watches. Overall, the Lumen sages were a fascinating and powerful group of mages whose beliefs and practices centered around the concept of light. While they may have been overshadowed by their counterparts, the Umbra witches, the Lumen sages played an equally important role in maintaining the balance of the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button for more videos just like this one. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.